Welcome to the Daddygate podcast with me, your fine host, Shaun, and
Mr. Weezy Poo-Poo. What's up, my man? It's been a few weeks. It's been weird, man. It felt like we recorded one a week ago, but I was looking, I was like, holy crap, it's almost been a month since the last one.
That's it, really, yeah. Shit, man. Yeah, no, it's been busy. I'm actually glad to be able to sit down and record this with you, man. It would be nice to do it more often. It's just the moment things are a little bit hectic. But yeah, man, things are really good. And, you know, like I say, it's good to sit down and catch up. There's been so much going on in the world of Daddygate. We've always just commented on how the Daddygate situation is never ending, and it never is. So that's been, a month since we've last recorded, and I can't even recount the amount of stuff that's happened between, the James English situation with Atwood, and then we've got this most recent situation with Atwood attempting to close the door on Daddygate with this recent podcast that he recorded, and then Mohammed Butt chiming in, and I think there's been other things as well. It's difficult to keep a track of everything, isn't it?
Yeah. It'd be nice, but life happens. You know, it'd be nice to try to get an episode every week, every 2 weeks, but things happen out of our control. I mean, I actually, for those that don't know, it's been about a week now since I recovered fully from COVID. That was another issue that happened. So I hadn't been able to do any live streams on Odysee or any of that because of that. Took me out for another week, so a lot of stuff has happened, and which affects the whole presentation of the show. But here we are. Should be another exquisite episode. The audio quality, yes, we know it sucks, and the people. I was on a live stream with Uncle Bobby last night, and so people should have somewhat of a heads up. My computer got fried, so unfortunately I couldn't record it. So we are doing it a more primitive, but yet effective manner. So full disclosure on that.
That's what happened to my computer recently as well. So do you think maybe we're being targeted by the government?
It's the Black Ops, man.
It's the only possible, really the only logical explanation, isn't it? Yeah, and then you getting COVID as well, man. I mean, that now you're obviously shilling. Somehow. I'm not sure which side you're shilling for, but you probably are shilling if you say that you've caught COVID. Well, so let's talk about that for a little second then, if you don't mind. Are you feeling okay now? Are you feeling good, or were you feeling terrible before, or how's it going?
Well, so COVID for me, and apparently it affects everyone differently. At least for me, I had a pounding migraine that lasted for 5-6 days. Migraines suck in general, so to have that for a week definitely sucked. I also had a fever for 5 or 6 days, where I was just my body was having a hard time controlling its temperature. I live in the warm, sunny climes of Florida, where this show is produced and directed from, and I was freezing, and then I was sweating, and then freezing again. So it was anytime you have a fever, it sucks. It doesn't matter what it's from. It just sucks, period. So I was out for a good week, man. I had no energy. I actually recorded a podcast last Saturday, I believe it was. And for whatever reason, the audio wasn't able to upload to Odysee. But I recorded that and I was just dying. I don't know. That wasn't probably... I had already scheduled to record it. So I just marched or powered through it. But I was still feeling like crap. But then on Sunday, last Sunday's when I actually started to feel pretty much, at 100% capacity. And here we are, man, bringing that energy yet again.
That's another thing you've got in common with Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan came down with COVID just recently. Did you see all the hoo-ha about that?
Yeah, man.
He came down with COVID, and he went through, let's say... I haven't actually seen Vice, but I can imagine what their take is on it, man.
Yeah, they said it was bullshit. They said he was exaggerating it. No way in hell. He's just trying to push the agenda. Wait, I'm in good shape. Joe Rogan's in good shape. If you're in good shape and you get hit with this, and that to me is disinformation, in my opinion. If you're in good shape, I run quite a bit. I stay in I try to maintain the glutes and whatnot.
Yep.
Mr. Joe Rogan, he's in his 50s, but he's a freaking specimen of a human being himself. And so if you're in good shape, yeah, it's gonna suck. I'm not gonna say. And there's people that are asymptomatic, but there's other folks like myself and others that.
Yeah, man. I mean, I certainly don't want to catch COVID, because it can seem to be quite random as well how it can affect you. So, some people do seem to get screwed over by it. But the coverage of Joe Rogan, and it all depends what kind of treatment your country offers as well, But the coverage of the Joe Rogan situation is just, it seems, as somebody said, it seems like an op, because what they're, the media is reporting it in such a way that they're talking about, of course, and they're calling it a horse dewormer, as if that's all it is, So they're saying Joe Rogan is taking this horse dewormer, and that's so disingenuous. I saw a tweet of somebody saying, like, I just drank some water, which is a solvent traditionally used to hydrate cats and dogs. It's like, it's the same thing. It's like, okay, it might be a horse dewormer, but we all know that that's not what Joe Rogan took. Joe Rogan took the human version of it, which is with humans.
Well, he took the monoclonal treatment too.
Yes. Yeah.
He pretty much said that.
I don't know anything about that stuff at all, but yeah, I heard about it.
That's what I got.
Isn't it?
Well, I went to Tampa. Shout out to the cameraman's relatives out there. But I went over there to get a monoclonal treatment that the governor had been endorsing, and he's been getting hammered. I don't even agree with the man's politics, but when it comes to this, I agree with him mostly. Yeah, it shouldn't be a political thing, man. And so I got the treatment. Like, I had already COVID for about 3 days. I didn't get tested, but my youngest son did, and he came out positive, and I had all exactly the same things, and it ended up everyone in the family ended up getting it pretty much. But I went after 3 days of having it. We went to Tampa and got the monoclonal treatments, which are injections as well, but you're getting antibodies infused into your system. And it has been effective. Apparently in Florida, they had a huge surplus of this stuff, and it's all FDA approved, and it's not some. And so I got that. A lot of people swear that happened. I don't know if that didn't, I'm just being honest. I don't know if that helped me or didn't help me. Maybe I was just going to get better anyways. Because I know that day when I came home, I was like, oh, that was the worst night. When I came home after that, dude, I was seeing things. It was a bad fever that I had that night. It was terrible. But so I don't know. I can't speak one way or another about the situation. I don't know. Maybe I was on my way to getting better anyways, or maybe that helped me recover quicker. Instead of lasting 2 weeks, it only ended up lasting me about a week. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting, man. I don't think they even offer these treatments here in the UK. I think they're doing trials. It's not authorized yet, so I can't remember if they're still going down the ventilator road if you're, if you get ill. But as far as I'm aware, the ventilator road ended up, they realized in a lot of countries that that's not the way to go, didn't they? It's
I think more deaths were occurring early on because of that, and because it wasn't fully understood. And quite frankly, I don't think it's still fully understood. The origins are still up for debate, but that's another conversation. Maybe
that's an Odysee conversation. I think this whole conversation is probably an Odysee conversation, dude. But I think we've been quite clear on the fact that we don't have a fucking clue what's going on with things. I'm not trying to push anything. I'm just curious, and I'll tell you one thing though. I'm really just dismayed at the way things are going in the world at the moment, man, and there's definitely people capitalizing on certain things at the moment, and that's another conversation for Odysee. But the world's a scary place. People need to start looking after their families, and I kind of feel like people just need to
doomsday prep, man.
Stop taking things for granted. You know?
Yeah, well, it sounds kind of crazy. It might sound completely crazy to some people, but doomsday prep, you know, having canned goods, all that stuff is not completely nuts, man. I mean, it's better to be safe than sorry. If nothing happens, everything goes back to normal, then you're all good. You know, you can have a laugh about it later. But if stuff hits the fan, you want to be sure you're somewhat prep for it. And there's tons of videos out there, even on YouTube, on how to can goods, tips and stuff. So I would definitely recommend that. But, you know, at the end of the day, you guys are in charge of your own domains, if you will.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend having a stock up on things, just even if the shelves go bare for any reason, whether that's deliberate or accidental. And that's why we are sponsored by doomsdayprepper.com. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of that actually on different videos at the moment. These sort of prepping websites.
I'm sure.
People.
Anytime these kind of things happen, there's going to be a few that make a little handsome
money to be made, man.
Or a handsome. Dude, I was talking about this on the stream, and have you ever read or listened to the audiobook by Smedley Butler, War is a Racket?
No.
Oh, read that book or listen to that audiobook. It's only 1 hour long. 1 hour long. Smedley Butler, War is a Racket. He wrote that book in the 1920s. 5-star general, like huge one, probably the highest ranking military officer of his time, of the American Army. And he's basically saying the whole thing is a racket.
It's about money.
Dude, to hear someone that high ranking and in his position say the things he says about the whole thing, and he breaks it down with numbers. He's using numbers. Look, the boot companies made this amount of money. The boat makers made this amount of money. These guys made this kind of amount of money, blah, blah, blah. And he's breaking it down like, and where are these profits going to? And he's posing some good questions, and he's making a damn good case. But you can apply that to pretty much any industry, you know, to be frank, not just the military, just anything. So by you mentioning
a large medical push for you know, from as we're going through at the moment, and you do often, like, I think it should be a law that you get to see the investment portfolios of the experts that are giving advice, because you would be absolutely shocked at what some of these politicians have invested in, and it suddenly makes their words completely hollow. If they stand to make a profit from what they're telling the public to do, you can absolutely write everything off that they've said.
Well, and there's so many conflicts of interest all around. And so, again, when you see those conflicts of interest, how much stock can you put into the word? Which I guess we can tie all that into the podcast with a host in which Mr. Atwood was on, to try to finish up Daddygate, bringing in Cali as a key witness. So let's start heading into that direction, man. I know you did a great video a couple of days ago. I'm sure everyone listening to this already saw that video, but if you haven't, if you've been living under a rock, go to Chancer's channel, check out the latest video. Excellent breakdown, tons of comedy gold. But let's touch on that.
Yeah, man. Well, cheers, man. It was a fun video to make. Although when I look back, I was like, wait a second, I didn't cut out all these little flickers of terrible editing that should have been cut out. But that's what happens when you're tired and running on empty and trying to get a video out in a good time. But anyway, it was a very good, fun video to make. I'm quite happy with how it turned out. It's doing very well, but the comedy gold was provided really by, as always, Shaun Atwood himself. You know, the jokes write themselves when it comes to Shaun Atwood. We have to also give an honorary mention to Mohammed Butt, though, because he was actually the star of that show. Mohammed Butt absolutely rinsed Shaun Atwood in this case. or whatever, shout out, and whatever Muhammad's motivations are. People are criticizing him, saying, "Well, he's not in it for the moral reason. He's only in it to protect his business." Well, yeah, and spot on.
Of course.
That's his duty as a businessman. You know,
if someone's slandering you or your business, wouldn't you? I mean, what's wrong with defending your business, your livelihood? Exactly. There's 100%. Nothing wrong with it. So you can feel about the man however you want. We're not telling you how to, think positively, think negatively. We're not saying anything like that. We're just saying, be objective in this stance and put yourself in those shoes, and you would absolutely do the same damn thing.
And you'll see who's telling the truth there. Yep. Muhammad's not going to come on and start lying. Why would he come on and say something that he knows not to be true about his business? He just wouldn't have phoned in. He'd have just left it, But instead, he intervened by phoning in. And I thought it was awesome. But again, it was Atwood with his double standards. Really, was what struck me so much this time. He's wanting people to believe that Cali provides evidence. Like, well, Cali heard, and she just happened to be listening. She was just there, was she, at the time? Like, fair enough. So Cali heard, and that's 100% proof. That's what he says. That's 100% proof. But with anything else, when you talk about him, he says, "Show me a video of me dressing her up like that. Show me a video of me handing the landlord that forged document." You've got to have video evidence if you want to talk about Shaun Atwood, but for him, he can have second-hand evidence of somebody that he himself claims or put out a video proving that they just say what they want other people to hear. That video that he put out of Cali the other day, where she, again, as I keep saying all the time, she really did look very much the worse for wear. She didn't look well in that video at all. And she said, "I just tell people what they want to hear. I constantly and always just tell people what they want to hear."
What Shaun been saying?
Show me the proof. Show me the evidence. And
Show
then
me
my
the
boss
evidence.
goes, bam, 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 bam.
Get the hell out of here with that.
It has to be video evidence. Nothing would be nobody would ever be convicted in a court if everything had to be video evidence. You know what I mean?
Well, in the most hypocritical. Well, not the most, but one of the most or more hypocritical parts. There's so many hypocritical moments in this whole thing. But him saying that, Cali's role in this whole Daddygate saga was to spread disinformation, just tell people what they want to hear. And now she's the key witness to this conversation between the BNT president and Mr. Atwood. Get the hell out of here, dude.
There's no evidence that she heard it, of course. It's just Shaun saying 100% proof. I'm going to phone her. I've not given her any pre-warning. And even though I've not given her any pre-warning, I know for a fact she's going to back me up when I phone her right now and that she's ready to answer the phone. It's like anyone who can just, and Mr. Atwood loves to say it, he's trying to brush up people's critical thinking skills for them because he's such a genius. Anyone who is able to think critically about a situation would soon realize that there's zero evidence that Cali even heard what Shaun Atwood is saying, that she heard, not to mention the fact that there's zero evidence that Shaun phoned her without any notice. He clearly phoned her with notice. It was so obvious that he was texting her the entire time prior to phoning her up. Again, she didn't sound like somebody that was telling the truth. She was just saying, I was there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, that doesn't sound like somebody that's telling the truth. That's just someone that's going along with what someone else is saying. Muhammad Butt called out instantly. You could actually hear the moment that he choked on his tea. He was obviously, he was just like,
He's like, Shaun, wait, what?
This is ridiculous bullshit. You're trying this on me. You know what I mean? Like, you can try this on your viewers, but it's not going to work on me, mate.
Bro, the whole thing, it was awesome, man. Because, to be completely honest, no one was even watching that, that show. It was advertised heavily a week in advance. It was advertised heavily.
Yeah.
Combined. There's 700,000 subs, roughly around that ballpark. 700,000 worth of subs. Sure. Yeah. And they were advertising the living stuff out of it. Yeah. And yet, they were putting the same kind of numbers up that I put up on Odysee with only a couple hundred subs total. You know what I'm saying? And so that was hilarious because the host had been criticizing me for having that amount of viewers, and yet, when it's their turn to do a live stream, they do the same amount, and they have thousands and thousands.
Only 50
more?
subsequent 50 viewers watching at once, right? Well, when I tuned in anyway, I didn't actually watch the whole thing. I just got told Mohammed's on, Mohammed's phoned in. Go and check it out. I was like, whoa. So I went and checked it out.
And that's what pumped them up. That was the only thing that bumped up the stream. And even the bump up wasn't that amazing, but it got them over the 100 mark. If it wasn't for that, it would have still been dead.
Shaun, though, like after on the Q&A, the live Q&A afterwards or something, he was like, well done, you had 100 subsequent viewers at once. And the majority of the show had about 50. For a very large part of the show, it appeared to only have 50 from what I could see anyway when I tuned in. But to actually praise someone for having 100 subsequent viewers on a live stream when there's so much advertising behind this stream that they did, I couldn't believe how low the numbers were. It actually, to me, looks quite odd that the numbers are so low, and it does make me, again, wonder not only about the sub count of Mr. Atwood, but the sub count of the host of this actual show that was put out as well. I don't believe that the numbers that you see for these people's subscribers adds up, because at the very least you'd be expecting somebody to have maybe 10%, or maybe let's say even 5% of their viewers. If it was a heavily advertised show, you'd expect 5% of their subs to tune in. But it wasn't even close to that. That would be about 350 subscribers would be tuning in at once, you would have thought, but nothing like that at all.
Yeah, my nipple clamps interview far outperformed that, and that was on a channel with only 1,000 subs total. You know what I'm saying? Like the action doesn't add up. The other thing, well, this is my take on it, was maybe I'm sure that plays a role. Everything you just stated, I'm not minimizing it, but I think another key factor to it is that when these two, the host and Mr. Atwood, get together to talk about Daddygate, and they heavily advertise it, and supposedly this is the last time it's going to be addressed, blah blah blah. The reason people didn't watch it is because no one believes it, no one cares. It's all nonsense, and your latest coverage of this incident, on your channel. What's the name of the video? Shaun Atwood Lies is.
It was like Shaun Atwood's former employer savaged. Shaun Atwood savaged by former employer. Something like something catchy.
We'll put the link.
You know how YouTube
link
works.
Will be in the description to that video.
Yeah.
In case you haven't watched it, but when that video in just a couple of days gets 3 times the amount of views than the original version, that to me confirmed. I had already been thinking this. I'm like, look, no one tuned in to see this because, for obviously the fake activity and fake subs plays a role. No question about that at all. But
potentially,
potentially. The other, and I think the other part to it is that no one believes it. No one cares.
Yeah, people
no
don't want to listen to something that they know is. People don't want to get lied to. People know that the wool is getting pulled over their eyes, and a lot of this stuff is totally false. And the way they were just saying, "This is the end. We are now closing the door on Daddygate," as if they have any control over what people report on, talk about, or even make fun of. If we want to sit and make fun of Daddygate for the rest of time until we get bored, we're more than welcome to do so. And I personally think it's well worth continuing to look into. There's actually several things that were mentioned during some of these interviews that are quite concerning and need to be brought up, which we can go into if you like. But the view count was, as you say, ridiculous. I agree with you. I think it's because people know that they're getting lied to. They know that the way things are getting put to them is not what happened, because the host of that actual interview was taking a different line previously. And trying to say that Cali's not autistic as well. Oh, she's just got Asperger's. I beg your pardon. That is autism. You know what I mean? It's a spectrum. It's on the autism spectrum.
Well, there's so much revisionist history went between the two, and they tried to clear it up, little step by step on how this. But so many lies were told during this process. Like I had been saying, the host of this channel has never once gone into detail as to why they fell out with me to begin with. They touched on it a little bit, but they kind of skirted away from it because it's damning. There's no original or legitimate excuse for it, for the falling out.
They lied about it. They said, oh, well, I knew that Chancellor was a shady character because of a few things that he'd done here and there. I'm not going to get into it here. Well, why not? Because I would love you to get into it. Please tell me these shady things that I was supposedly doing, because this is not what happened. The reason we fell out is because this person actually attempted to get James English and Billy Moore to denounce you. They did not do that. They then claimed that Billy Moore and James English had claimed that you'd said you were going to be getting in touch with them. That was not true. And I pointed out the fact that that was not true and that had never been said. And that's why this person fell out with me. There was no shady goings on. There was no mention of me being shady beforehand. But, you know, whatever. I couldn't really give a damn, to be honest with you. But it was just lies.
It's important to address these things because it just points out. I think anyone that's been following Daddygate intently and closely knows which side is telling the truth. Is it our side or that side? And we've laid down the evidence, tons and tons, mounds of evidence. And we had been making the claim that these two were in cahoots. You know, the host and Shaun were in cahoots early in the year. And I had been doing it on my live streams. I had been saying that, and a lot of people were laughing. Some were like, "Oh, that's just too outlandish, too outlandish." It's just you're reaching too much. And now, in retrospect, I was damn right. The evidence was out there, and it's been confirmed. And even watching these backpedaling, trying to put Daddygate to bed shows only proves it. You know, they've rewritten the whole historical context as to how it started, what was said and what was done, twisting the entire narrative around. Like the whole Cali Diamond interview wasn't really mentioned as a key instigation as to why the host fell out with me. Instead, had been saying,
that was literally the reason. That was
that was the entire reason, man. And instead, what did the host say? That the falling out was, oh, you know, I started getting a bad feeling for him. He was coming after your blood, Shawnee Poo. He was, you know, he wanted to put you in the ground. Nothing to do with that. Just a complete and utter lie. It's laughable, dude. I was listening to it. Of course, I was tuned in. I even jumped into the live chat on the Q&A segment, and it was great jokes. I don't know if you want to touch on that, and then we can move on to the whole the Q&A. That's where, you know, things really got a little more heated up. But, you know, so what they did was they premiered, before they did the Q&A video, they premiered a pre-recorded podcast between the host and Shaun, and that was done like a couple of weeks prior to the premiere, right?
With little snippets like Shaun's opinion on Darren G, and what was it? There was a couple of things. Cali's autism, where the host said that they were the one that brought up the fact that Cali was autistic first and foremost. Well, what's that got to do with anything? What does it matter who brought it up?
This individual is attention starved and will do anything to garner any kind of attention, any kind of support. And it's quite apparent. You know, people have been commenting whether the appearance by Mr. Muhammad on the show, you know, if it's possible that it was a setup by this individual. This individual has vehemently denied it and says, oh, I would never stoop to those levels. I'm not sure about that at all. I have severe doubts on that. And this is one of the things that fueled their hatred towards us because we were getting that attention all of a sudden. So that's a huge part of the puzzle that doesn't get touched on, and it makes complete sense as to why this host wouldn't touch on it, because it's damning and it's embarrassing, and this person just wants all the shine, all the glory onto themselves.
And then throwing in all these little, I mean, how low class can you be to start insinuating, like Shaun Attwood was stating, that we are paedophile protectors, or even worse, paedophiles ourselves.
Another bogus claim without evidence. This is a pattern by this individual. Makes the most crazy, outlandish claims and never backs it up. Over and over again, man.
And it's just like, to say things like that is just like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you on about? Are you going to provide any evidence whatsoever of these claims? Or are you just going to throw it out there hoping it sticks? I mean, there was one point where Atwood actually said, after saying, they're obviously either pedos or paedophile enablers. So anyone that criticises Shaun Attwood is enabling paedophiles? Like, get a grip, mate. After that, he was like, if you look at Chancellor's avatar, it's a little cartoon cat thing. That's really dodgy in itself. This little cartoon cat. And he trailed off and he mumbled off, not confident in what he was not confident enough in what he was saying. He couldn't grab what he wanted to say by the balls and blurt it out. It was just something that he'd had. He wanted to get it out there. It was a pathetic display by a weak man. It really was. But that's Shaun Attwood for you. But a couple of days prior to this, and this is hearsay, this is just me saying this because I actually blocked this person from my comments. One of the few people that I've actually blocked from my comments after showing the missus. I was like, look at these fucking comments, they're so weird. And she was like, yeah. I was like, no, I need to block this person. This is clearly a nonce. There was somebody in my comments constantly talking, and this just happened, like I say, no more than a week before this statement by Shaun Attwood about my avatar being somehow connected to paedophilia. Someone was making very similar comments about that, but they were sort of like projecting out their own desires onto it as well. They said that it looked like a little girl. It looked like it wasn't wearing any clothes. It looked like it was like precocious and all this sort of weird. It was like someone was on cocaine and spewing out the darkest parts of their mind on a Saturday night, and really did make me uncomfortable. So I was like, I need to get this person off my comments. This is a freak. I've actually had a couple of comments by creepy weirdos recently. But this one specifically was going on about the avatar, and it was almost as if they were saying how sexy it was, but how childlike it was. And it was well creepy. And then Atwood comes out with he tries to go down a very similar road and then mumbles off about it. And it just makes me wonder if it was actually him that was saying
was
those comments.
Him, or was he creeping your comments
and saw that
was inspired?
I thought that's a good one. Yeah, it could have easily been that. I'm not suggesting that it was Shaun Attwood, but what I am suggesting is that line of thinking has never come up on my channel before in the last year, because I think it's been a year now that the channel's been up. No one's ever said that before, you know what I mean? So it's just very strange that Atwood would come out with it a week later, but in a sort of mumbled, kind of not quite fully formed sort of way, and then trail off. And there were some things that were brought up in this Q&A, which I personally found quite concerning, which probably warrant a little bit of further discussion, which is the main one being the statement by Mr. Atwood. He said twice that Cali's 12-year-old son, begged them not to do the prank. So he begged this guy, Shaun Attwood, he begged this man that he doesn't really know, presumably, not to film this fake child abuse incest prank with his mum and put it out. And he said, please don't do it. And Shaun Attwood said, it just goes to show how immature I am that I just did it anyway. And he was right. I shouldn't have done it. And he said that twice. It's like, there's so many questions that need to be asked there. It's like, how, if he's telling you not to do it, he obviously knows what the content of the prank, shall we say, was. Otherwise, he wouldn't be telling you not to do it. Why is a 12-year-old getting to know what kind of thing his degenerate mother's friend is getting up to with his mother? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's that whole aspect of it is kind of creepy in itself. The other thing, I guess, to move on to another, because I know I'm trying to get through as much information as possible, but when, just to change things up a little bit, when the Q&A happened, so they did that premiere video, and then they did a Q&A session that was live, and in that live session, Shaun had been talking about Cali living in the woods, roasting marshmallows, skinning animals, living the doomsday prepper life, if you will, away from social media.
I didn't even catch that bit. I should probably watch that. I didn't even hear that bit.
I made that up, but
I didn't hear anything about her living in the woods or anything like that. I never heard any of that stuff.
That was the gist of it. I did exaggerate a little bit, but basically, she's living in the woods.
Fake news.
Tending to her horses, living with the animals, something along those lines. But that was said, and then 45 minutes in is when Mr. Muhammad Butt of BNT calls in, and he's on the ropes. It'd be awesome to get a real body language expert to analyze Shaun's reaction to when Mr.
Yeah, one that isn't desperate to work with Shaun Attwood.
Yeah.
But I mean, like all the body language experts so far have just wanted to be on his show.
Yeah.
Yes, carry on.
But yeah, you don't have to be an expert. Just look at his damn body language.
Yeah, we're all human beings. We can all read body language.
Yeah, we've been in situations where we've been busted for this or that. We've all been busted. I mean, we're all humans. You can see him busted and looking for a way out. He is now. He didn't consent to that. It's pretty apparent and obvious that he did not consent to having Mr. Butt on the line, and he was completely uncomfortable with the whole situation. And he then calls out for a lifeline. He doesn't want to be the weakest link. Goodbye. He calls for a lifeline, and his lifeline is who other than Miss Cali Diamond, the person that is now living allegedly in the woods and skinning animals.
The person who is his witness for absolutely everything. The person who just does absolutely everything Shaun Attwood asks them to. It's so weird. And he even said he's got a box of our medical records sitting in his house, you know what I mean? And then he uses those as evidence to back up his stories. Like, there's so much wrong that's going on. I've spoken to people that say that it sounds like Shaun Attwood is trafficking Cali, like they really believe that Shaun Attwood is the trafficker, Now, I'm not saying that, but it's certainly odd that he's got her medical records and should just say whatever, she's always there on the phone for him. As you say, she's supposed to be living out in the forest at this point, and he just phones her up. He claimed he phoned her up out of nowhere and she had no advance warning. Well, how did you know that she was going to answer the phone then?
Well, the whole time
he's obviously texting her.
Yeah, the whole time, and you pointed that out on your video. You started making all these clicking sounds. He's looking down. He's obviously texting her, like you're saying. There's
obviously
100%, no doubt about it, that he's texting Cali like, "Hey, I'm gonna call you up. Be by your phone. Are you by your phone? You be ready. And remember, we got to stick to this thing." And the way Mr. Butt handled it, he's like, "Holy shit, bro! Like." This is your evidence? This is the best you have? This is hilarious, bro. And you brought up the medical records. Remember, I think we may have talked about this on one of the earliest Daddygate podcast episodes that we had, where Cali sent me all those medical records as well. And she was trying to get me to do videos on it, talk about it on the live stream. And I mentioned it to you. I go, "Look, bro, what the hell? Cali's sending me all these medical records, blah, blah, blah. What the hell is this about?" And I told you my gut feeling was that it was all a setup, trying to get me to talk about an individual's medical records on the air. And maybe that was a way to shut me down then, at that point in time. And for Shaun to have these records as well is just... manipulation spilled all over.
You've got these because you deleted them. We discussed it, and you just deleted it because did you not confront Cali and say, "Why the hell are you sending me this stuff anyway? I'm not doing anything with this."
I told Cali, I go, quit sending me these things
because it was stuff going back to like 1990 or something like that, and they were obviously legit. I took one look at it and I was like, where did you get these? But it was from Cali directly that she sent them. She sent you lots of data. It's just straight, like we got them and we're like, we don't want anything to do with this, but Shaun Atwood gets them and then he's just kept them and references
and he's openly talking about that he has them and check this out and that. And so, I have said in the past that there was times where I knew I was talking to Cali directly, and there was other times where I knew I was talking to Cali to Shaun through Cali.
Shaun pretending to be Cali.
Yeah, now it makes you wonder if it was him sending me this shit.
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I thought it was at the time. I thought that was him. But it was from Cali's email address. But Cali said that Shaun had access to her email address previously and her social media accounts. So it's a strange situation because Cali is a vulnerable person, and I don't care how many times Shaun wants to say that her mum supports what he did. Unfortunately, Cali doesn't appear to have been raised particularly well by strong role models and people that care about her, going on the basis of what she's up to at the moment and her issues with addiction, sex work, killing innocent people in road traffic collisions, all these different things. Like, Cali hasn't turned out that well, so I'm not really going to take advice from her primary caregiver in matters of morals. And Shaun Atwood saying that Cali's mother, stepmother, adopted mother, whatever it happens to be, because they've said both, haven't they? Adopted mother and stepmother. So does she have both? Like, maybe, but I'm not going to take advice. Like, she says that, well, Cali recreating this fake daddy-daughter abuse scene with Shaun Atwood, an anti-paedophile campaigner, that's Cali healing. That's her healing. I mean, I somehow think that if she hadn't met Shaun Atwood, she'd probably be healing a little bit further along the road to healing.
Oh, no question, man. This being on social media, I'll give her credit. She handles criticism pretty damn well. I'll give her that much. She has shown she can hang in there. Going through everything she's going is not good for anyone's mental health. No one should be put through that. And rather than, calling Cali as a lifeline, for everyone to see and bring her back into the mix after her prison sentence or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not claiming to be any of that such. But in my opinion, if it was true that she was living in the woods, roasting animals and stuff, that's fine. That's actually good. But then hypocritically to get a phone call 20 minutes later and getting dragged back into this online mess. How is that?
It's a lie.
How is Shaun thinking that he's caring for the best interest of this person?
Exactly, and he's asking her to lie, according to Muhammad, anyway. Somebody's lying there. So
again, bringing her back into the
Cali
spotlight of the whole internet scandal. You know what I mean? Like, that's what makes it funny. And Mr. Chris H brought this point up, and so I want to give him props for that. But he's like, 1 minute she's living in the woods, getting her mental sanity back intact, and then a few minutes later is used as a lifeline to try and bail Shaun out of that sticky situation he was in, where he was being exposed as a damn liar.
Yeah. And why was she in the woods healing is because she's just been released from prison, after 4.5 months inside, apparently. So, like, this is a damaged, vulnerable person, and, I get a bit of flack for constantly talking about what Shaun Atwood did with her, but he's the one that put that out there. It's only public because he himself put that out there to try and get the jump on what the actual host had on him, the naked photographs of Cali. I think if Atwood had just come out in the first place and just say, look, I was just helping her with her sex work stuff or sex work profile, that would have been the end of the matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but he couldn't just say, I was just helping her
man.
with her sex work profile. And maybe he could have just said, I didn't disagree. I didn't really agree with what she was asking me to do, but I just went along with it, you know, like to help her. But he couldn't even do that.
They don't even.
He's got to claim that it's part of some mission to take down child abusers, and that anyone who criticizes him themselves is a child abuser. Yeah, claiming that a mixed race individual was responsible for making Shaun Attwood's computer filled full of stuff that lures pedos. You know,
and that's the thing. That's the whole point of it. Like you just said, had he come out and just admitted, this thing would have came fast and furious, like some people do, but it would have blown over. That's it. Instead, the added lies, and I've said this in the past, so I'm sorry if I sound like a broken record, but the added lies, the ensuing BS that accompanied said lies.
Taking channels down, or at least supporting.
All this other crap, man.
Having people calling the police on his critics, like, it just
made what should have been a fast and furious deal into a year later. I mean, you know what? Happy anniversary. Happy Daddygate anniversary, Shaun. It is September, and pretty much September was, the whole anniversary of us, I think, meeting. To be honest with you, it's been about a year since we met.
I think it will be,
this month in September. I can't remember the exact day, but
it's
been a year.
Yeah.
It has been a year since this whole thing. And like, again, this should have been blown over and done with. Everyone, let's move on. Let's move forward. But a year later, we're still talking about it. And
it's because his ego can't let it go, man. He turned himself into an absolute lolcow. He turned himself into a total laughing stock. And you can't stop. Every time you milk him, more lols come out. It's just, I don't know what he's done to himself, but he's fucking memed himself.
Shout out to all the milkers out there. Hell yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
But, dude, it just hit me. It just dawned on me when you brought up the whole thing that, had he done this and done that, dealt with it like a man, dealt with it honestly, this would have been done with. We would not be here a year later. And that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, holy shit, bro. It's been a year since you and I first made contact. And this is what I kind of touched on with Uncle Bob the other night. I go, the biggest and most positive thing of this whole thing, because we could sit here all day pointing out all the negativity. This is bad. This is terrible. This shouldn't have happened, blah, blah, blah. We can sit here for days doing it. But the most positive aspect that has come out of this has been the community that has been built, the friendship that has flowered between you and I. And it's been a year, man. So happy anniversary on that, my man.
Exactly, man. Happy anniversary, dude.
It sounds cheesy. Sounds cheesy as fuck, but I didn't really think about it. Before we started recording, sometimes I think of, okay, I need to hit on this, I need to hit on that, and then we just roll with it. But it just really, really just dawned on me. I'm like, holy shit, bro! It's been a year now.
And that is testament to the amount of content that Shaun Attwood continuously gifts us on a regular basis by just being so absolutely unbelievably low IQ.
Shout out. That's what Shaun said. So when I trolled into the Q&A live chat, I came in there making some funny comments, which were, of course, deleted, banned, cancel culture style.
Of course they were.
Sean got excited that I was in there. To be honest, Shaun got excited.
I saw that bit.
He's in there. Shout out. So Shaun, shout out, bro. Happy anniversary. Shout out. I'm starting to get the feeling that he kind of enjoys the attention because he's not getting attention. He needs all the attention he can get because it's a dying channel. I'm not just talking smack. I'm not just trying to say things to make, what's the right word I'm looking for?
Just to put him down.
Yeah, to put him down. I'm being dead serious. The channel's dying. So any activity, and one of the things Cali would always tell me And maybe through Shaun, maybe it was Shaun telling me this, especially after the hot mic. There was a lot of advice that was given to me, and it was probably Shaun feeding Cali this stuff. But it's all about the clicks, baby. That's all Cali would say. It's all about the clicks, baby. It's all about the clicks. So this attention to Daddygate, as negative as it is on our end towards the whole situation, in his mind, using the 48 laws and all that stuff, but any publicity, whether it's bad publicity, is good publicity.
Yeah, court attention at all costs. I think
he's reveling in this attention, man.
It's quite possible, and it's possible that he knows it's not even good for him, but he just enjoys it when it happens. You know, I've got a slightly different take. I think he realizes, as I said in my video, I think he realizes that if he gets any bigger, he's not going to be able to explain this to the normal man on the street or woman on the street. You know, he's not going to be able to explain this to people in the way that he's tried to explain it to us gullible fools that were subbed to his channel. You know, or the people that he thinks are gullible fools that have been subbed to his channel. I think he knows that it's not going to wash. I really do, and that's why I think he's trying to counter this narrative, and he just wants there's not enough stuff out there on YouTube that he can point to newcomers to the situation. He can point newcomers to the situation towards these little videos, these interviews on other people's channels, saying, "Look, I've exposed them a million times. They're just trolls." I think that's what he's trying to do, in my personal opinion. But yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that he enjoys the attention, and he's not wired the same as many other people. He's quite cool under pressure. He doesn't seem to care about consequences particularly. He does try and clear things up, but he doesn't really care about the potential consequences of what he's done, in my opinion anyway.
We've seen it time and time and again, man, like popping up in the live streams that we used to do. Great memories in this last year, man. Maybe that's what we should do. Maybe that should be the next Daddygate episode. We'll reminisce, we'll reminisce, man, that could be an idea. And bring up some good stuff. Yeah, that would probably be a good episode on top of finishing off some of the ideas here. But the reason I say he kind of enjoys it was, he even made the comment. He was like, he was talking about me, the American troll, I guess. First it was the American podcaster. Now apparently it's the Scottish troll and the American troll, apparently. But he was saying, like, yeah, I like some of his stuff. Some of his stuff made me laugh. Even his thumbnails make me laugh. But he shouldn't have just crossed that line. I'm the one that shouldn't have crossed that line.
Yeah, exactly.
But to hear him say that, to me, signals that he enjoys this shit, man. He revels in it. And so that's why I said, even though you may have a slightly different take on it, that's why I said, that's why I feel that way.
It's certainly possible. And, sometimes it, as always and often seems to be the case, the truth could be somewhere in the middle. He might absolutely, it's pretty clear, he absolutely despises us. But he might enjoy the, the action that he gets from it. It's quite possible. But I don't care whether he enjoys the action or not. Like, I still think it's absolutely wrong that this guy claims to be fighting a war on paedophiles. I think it's just so disingenuous and wrong. And then he continues to interview people who have been victims of abuse, and then he goes out and tries to slander any critic of his. So it's morphed from just an absolutely ridiculous situation which he tried to cover up and failed to cover up, to growing so many different arms and legs that you get such a feel for his character that you realize that he's not what I would consider to be a good role model. Let's put it like that, for the people that he makes podcasts for, the kids that he says he's defending.
He's not who he portrays himself out to be. Even in that Q&A session, he couldn't help but bring up his buttocks getting destroyed again. It's like he has some kind of weird fetish with telling the whole world about that, And then the host,
you see that, man?
Yes, he brought it up again, and the host was like, "Oh, Shaun, let's not go there." Like trying to say, like, the host was acting like, let's not go there. But then you look at the host like getting giddy, like kind of getting excited over that kind of talk on the channel. And then later the host says, "See, oh Shawnee, look, now everyone in the comments is talking about your ass." And you know, he brought it up again, bro. Like, I'm like, dude, he just can't help it. And that's why I think he enjoys it. Again, another reason why I think he enjoys this shit.
Well, he claims that he's emotionally stunted as well. But to talk to Cali's 12-year-old son about this prank, and for the 12-year-old son to say, please don't do this. You can imagine how the 12-year-old he's like, even he told me not to do it. So that's a child saying, please don't put this video out of you and my mum. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, I did it anyway, you know, because I'm so immature.
So that begs a question. So if he talked to Cali's 12-year-old son about this video, did he also tell him about the nudes all over his flat? That was never brought up.
If he's talking to the 12-year-old about the prank, and he's talking to the 12-year-old about the blowjob scene where she calls him daddy, why wouldn't they talk about the nudes around the flat?
And is that appropriate? Is that
completely inappropriate. And if Shaun Attwood is so emotionally stunted that he thinks it's appropriate to speak to 12-year-olds about this kind of thing, I don't think therapy can help him if he's so stunted that he thinks that is acceptable or appropriate.
That was one thing I would definitely want to get out of the point, because that's a valid, legitimate concern, man. You're gonna sit there and talk about how you even Cali's 12-year-old son knew about this whole thing. So how much did you go into this whole thing? And that was another curious thing that did, you know, for a show, for a Q&A session, to be out there to, you know, in theory, put Daddygate to rest, if you will, so that it's never talked about again. You didn't talk about the nudes?
Yes.
You didn't talk about that? You didn't address that? And if you go to this podcast, the Daddygate podcast, is on your favorite podcast player, Spotify, Amazon Music, all that stuff. If you listen to podcasts on the audio version, it will be on there. This show will be on there. All the other previous shows are on there. But the other show that is on there is the 3-hour Daddygate podcast bonanza that we did, where we went through the A through Z of Daddygate. If you guys are interested, if you are new to this, welcome to the channel. Listen to episode 1 through 10. You will get caught up, because we address these shows as the chronological events unfold, you know, and sometimes they're weeks apart, sometimes they may be a month apart, but we try to keep you updated onto all things Daddygate. But I did upload that whole 3-hour bonanza. It's hilarious, it's funny, but we address everything, and we address stuff that these individuals that apparently wanted to close Daddygate don't even touch, don't even go near. And the nudes in the flat of Shaun Attwood's flat is a giant instrumental piece to the puzzle that never gets mentioned by any of these guys.
Yeah, it's so true. They avoid that, but like the plague, because they are so explicit. It's not just tasteful nudes; it's sexually explicit sex acts that are being recorded. Not just actual photos, but videos of it as well. Some people don't realize that some of those were not photos; they were actually videos of Cali engaging in sex acts that were being filmed
in his home.
You
can't get around it. You can't get around it, man. And so Shaun never addresses it because he can't get away from it. That is one of the most damning pieces to the whole Daddygate thing.
But it's okay. It's okay, dude, because she's only got Asperger's. You know, that makes it okay, man. It's just Asperger's that she has, not autism. So that makes
makes it right. That makes it fine now.
Masturbating on his sofa while he's filming it, fine. That makes it.
And we forget, man. Cali's mind functions at an Einstein-like level. One of the most intelligent human beings of all time. Her mind functions at 1 million times a second, you know,
faster than anyone else's.
Yeah, so it's fine then. I guess we're
definitely
wrong.
Not being taken advantage of, even though Shaun Attwood himself said that he was taking advantage of an autistic, vulnerable person. He only said that so he could keep his job. He didn't actually take advantage of an autistic, vulnerable person. he just said he took advantage of an autistic vulnerable person so that he could keep his job. I mean, and that sounds perfectly reasonable. I know for a fact that I would happily admit to taking advantage of an autistic vulnerable person if I was going to keep my job. There's no way I would be saying, what? I never did that. You're absolutely full of shit. There's no way I'm saying that. And if you try and get me to say that, I'm going to be taking you to court. You know?
That's a classic, that statement. If someone told you to jump off of a bridge, would you? If we asked Shaun that, I think we all know what the answer is, according to his own words. He would jump off that damn bridge, it's laughable, dude. It's not believable. Mr. Butt definitely came out the winner in that exchange. Definitely. You can feel about him how you want on other issues. Again, I'm just saying this caveat. I can't make that clear enough, and I do this quite a bit because I don't want people making the wrong assumptions or assertions. Have your own opinion. I'm talking about this specific incident, and in this specific incident, it was clear who was telling the damn truth and who was completely lying and squirming, completely uncomfortable because they were being pulled out.
And I want to see what Mr. Butt comes up with as well, because he said he was going to get all the evidence together in writing, and whether he decides to just leave it or not, I don't know. But I would like to see where this goes, because at the end of the day, Atwood has been saying that BrandNewTube told him to take advantage of a trafficked vulnerable woman, and he's saying that they told him to say that. He didn't do it, and it'd be interesting to see if they do want to take it further.
We're gonna on Twitter. I'm gonna tweet BNT this podcast episode. So I hope everyone, if you guys don't follow us on Twitter, make sure you follow us on Twitter. Twitter links will be in the description. And retweet. I'm gonna make a tweet on the main Twitter feed, What Is Truth Pod, and please everyone retweet the hell out of it. Let's get it out there. That's one way. So we do these shows, we're trying to expose, and you guys are instrumental in all this. So whenever you guys share these videos, this episode, you guys retweet our stuff, you guys are helping. That is you guys putting work into action. You're not just being casual listeners of the show, of the program. So please retweet, share, and just spread the word.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a retweet actually does very much help spread the word. You can do a podcast and not get any retweets. You do a podcast and you get retweets, and it multiplies the amount of people that can hear it. So it is worth doing. And it's also, there's a lot of people that still don't know what's happening with Daddygate, or in many cases now they've only seen what Shaun Atwood has been saying about us, calling us the trolls, etc. So the first interaction you'll get from somebody will be them coming on your channel and saying, "Oh, so you're the Scottish troll, you're the troll then that Atwood's talking about." So if they're actually seeing this side of the story from people that they've got on their social media feeds, it helps. It takes away, it helps dampen that bias that they may have from Mr. 700,000 subs? He's got 680,000 subs. Putting his word out there. People are unfortunately more liable to believe him over us until they see the evidence, or until they get word of mouth through from their own peers on the matter. So definitely.
And that's when the activity comes into play too. The whole channel activity. This is a small channel, with only about 1,500 subs at the time of this recording. But the activity, the amount of times it gets shared and viewed, it is, when you put it, like a pound for pound, if you were to compare it, on the scale, it exceeds everything. And it goes back onto that first point that I made at the very beginning of the show, was for them to only have X amount of, viewers, 50, 60 viewers on this most, what they were calling an anticipated show.
Yeah, it was just surprisingly
fully advertised weeks in advance. They should have had way more activity.
The interview you've all been waiting for. An interview with Shaun Atwood, of all people. You know what I mean? The famous anti-child abuse campaigner.
Yeah, the time comes and no one is interested.
No one's watching.
No one cares. No one
so
believes
weird.
both
So
of
weird.
these liars. It just shows. And like I said, people watch these things, and the activity, in my opinion, speaks for itself. People know who is telling the truth, and it becomes apparent, quite clear, who is telling the truth and who is just lying over and over and over, mixing more lies with more lies, producing disinformation,
just
rewriting history, revisionist history on full display, man.
Yeah, but it's not going to work because we're just going to call it out every time it happens. So it ain't going to work. They're never going to manage to do it. Well, this is why they tried to get you flagged off YouTube and take credit for succeeding. It's why your channel got taken down at 5,000 subs? And
5,000 subs, but the live streams, man, the live streams that I was doing on that channel, I got to the point on the main channel where I didn't even have to have a guest. I was getting 300, 350 viewers on a live stream by myself on a tiny channel as that. And there's no question had, my channel's been in the ether.
Views were always like 6,000, 7,000, up to like 20,000 on certain podcasts. You know what I mean? So you were getting 100%.
The video that got striked, had 50,000, bro.
That's right.
The video that Shaun illegally copyright struck had over 50,000 views, man. And then I re-uploaded it. He struck it, and I fought and overturned it. True Media uploaded it. It got copyright struck, and it got overturned again. And now another channel called Daddygate Will Never Die recently uploaded that same exact video, and it was illegally copyright struck. It's going to get overturned again.
How does he get away with continuously doing this? Did Shaun Attwood strike this again? Did he?
Yeah, yes, Shaun did it. Shaun
Unbelievable.
did it. So here's my challenge to you guys. Go to my Odysee, download it, and share it, because it's a fully legal video. There's a reason why it gets overturned over and over and over again. And the video apparently is so damning that Shaun copyright strikes it every time it pops up. So
that's ridiculous. YouTube's taking no action against him for that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. But imagine if hundreds of people listening to this downloaded the video and spread it onto their channel. It doesn't matter if you have
upload it on your own channel.
Yeah. There's a reason it's bothering him enough to the point where he's illegally copyright striking. He can't copyright strike every single person. So and you know what? It's not illegal.
It's your video. You own the copyright to that video. It's your creative work.
And I am authorizing people to do this, to download it and share it. And it bugs him so much. It's bothering him so much that he's filing these he's abusing the DMCA system, all that stuff. So
completely getting away with it.
Yeah, that's definitely a point I want to make. The video has been won. It has been proven time and time and again by YouTube overturning this illegal copyright strike. So there's no issue. Download the video, share it, and make it go far and beyond, man.
But YouTube need to be doing something. YouTube need to be doing something about all these false copyright strikes that he keeps perpetrating. This is ridiculous. It costs YouTube money every time someone does a false copyright strike, and he's just getting away with it over and over again, targeting little channels. With it's just outrageous. And shout out to True Media, by the way, for being steadfast. Once again, we like to give them a shout out as well when we remember to. But True Media has been steadfast, but to take the brunt of some of these things when your channel is up and cut, because True Media actually got struck down initially. He had a channel with, I think he had did he not have about 5,000 subs or 1,000 subs or something before, initially? And then it was taken down. This was before we actually me and you started collaborating. I could be thinking of someone else. But anyway, the fact of the matter is,
he had a few hundred subs for sure.
Yeah, Atwood is going after people that he thinks cannot defend themselves.
Actually, that video is here on the Daddygate podcast channel as well. The video is on here, and the video was illegally copyright struck here on this channel, and lo and behold, it was overturned. The video is still showing on my channel. So you could either download it from the Odysee, or download it from right here, the Daddygate podcast channel, and download it, because he's so quick to strike it down. So obviously the truth hurts, and there's a reason why he acts on it quickly, even though he knows damn well. So if he's listening right now, he knows damn well that these copyright strikes will get overturned. So it doesn't matter if he hits you. If he hits you with it, get in contact with us, and we can discuss it.
Exactly. But he actually needs to be. YouTube need to crack down on this. It's ridiculous. You and I would not get away with that. You know what I mean? The fact that he gets away with that is just ridiculous. Just playing favorites. But then again, there's probably, that's probably what is happening with Shaun Attwood. Is YouTube is playing favorites with him, and that's why he's getting away with so much dog shit. The kind of crap that he's pulling against other little channels. He's going around asking people to dogpile others, asking people to mass report others, false flag others. He's false flagging himself.
It's completely illegal and erroneous. And, we did talk about this a few weeks ago, but even with Matt Orfalea, he was trying to say that we had basically just downloaded his material in its entirety and made straight uploads, not transforming or commenting any of that. Completely lying through the damn teeth, man.
We've never done that. Why would we upload his content in his entirety? What on earth possibility would that? We would be fanboying
at that time. Yeah, we would be fanboying.
What's the point in that? Yeah.
It's a joke, man. It's a complete lie.
Why would make no sense?
And why would trolls, people that supposedly want to bring him down, why would be straight uploading his material? We would just be promoting his channel at that point in time. So it's a clear freaking lie that Shaun has been saying to try to explain away these copyright strikes that were completely illegal and false. And even the host gave me props for overturning these copyright strikes. But now it's like, oh, no, you can't do this. Blah, blah, blah. Get the hell out of here. But
ridiculous.
It doesn't surprise me, man. This was a great episode, man. It was jam-packed. I think people are going to love it, man. Please, everyone, share the living crap out of it on your social medias, on Twitter. I'm going to tweet this show on Twitter, so just simply hit that retweet button, god damn it. And that's how you guys can do your guys' part. Much love to every single one of you guys that tune in week in and 6 weeks out sometimes. But hopefully it will work out, and we will have another Daddygate podcast where we can reminisce do basically a year in review in Daddygate history. And it's more important than ever now to do that and revisit it, because again, we've said this over and over, but revisionist history is taking place. It's getting rewritten as we speak, and this is a way to stop it. By documenting it, by putting it on the record week in and week out, or week in and 6 weeks out, whatever the case. But this is a way to fight it.
That is our full right to do it, and it's your right to do it. It's the audience's right to do it. We have full right to discuss these things. As much as they say that they're now closing the door on Daddygate, they have no say in the matter.
My Daddygate opinion, my Daddygate choice.
Yes, 100%, man.
My man, I know we went a little bit over time, but you were gracious enough to stay on the line, and I think people are going to enjoy the show. If you guys enjoy, you guys know what to do with those goddamn like buttons, and share and subscribe to my man Chancer. Where can they find you?
Best place is obviously YouTube, of course, so get me on youtube.com/Chancer, and you can also get me on twitter.com/ChancerMedia as well.
Yeah,
maybe BrandNewTube one day as well.
Yeah, you can find me on Odysee. We've only got a couple hundred subs. Help me build it up, y'all. Show me some love. We can be a little more freer there, express our opinions with more freedoms. But follow me on Odysee, Twitter, all that jazz will be in the description. Show some love, and we reciprocate that love to you guys. Thank you guys for being patient too. Hopefully we'll get that other episode next week where we can do a year in review. Thank you guys all for tuning in. It was another exquisite episode, and we will definitely be catching you hopefully very soon again.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.